How's it going, everyone? Larry here with the Farmstead Way, and today I'm going to take you through a tour of my Ohio homesteading garden. So here we go. Alrighty, so here is the garden. You guys have seen this in several different videos, so we're going to go over the different things we've got going on, things that I've learned along the way, and mistakes that I made, and things I'd like to do different when we go to do the garden next year. So this was the very first time that my wife and I have done our own garden by ourselves. We've done some gardening with our in-laws who live next door, but we really wanted to try doing something on our own and just experiment with different things. About, let's say, a year ago, this was nothing but a giant sod paddock, pretty much. We used to have a milk cow, and this is where we kept the milk cow. And we didn't exactly like the type of cow that we got, so we decided to sell her. And this just kind of sat empty for a while. We decided that we were going to convert it into a garden. So there was a couple of things that we did to get the area ready for planting plants. So one of the things that we had to deal with was the crappy Ohio clay soil. So we went to my wife's aunt and uncle's house, and they have horses and they have a bunch of stall manure that they clean up. So what we did is we loaded up a bunch of it in the back of my truck and just dumped it in and mixed it in. This is kind of dusty right now because it's late summer, and this has just been getting baked. Even though we've been doing a lot of watering, it just dries up really fast. But normally this soil is super, I can't even pick any of it up right now, is super dense. It holds water like crazy, and it doesn't have a lot of nutrients, so it definitely needs some help here in Ohio. And there is a lot of good soil nutrients in horse manure. You just gotta make sure that it's not too hot. It's not gonna burn your plants, but it's not so hot like chicken manure. So we threw that down, and that really helped everything out. Another big thing was trying to figure out how we were going to structure the garden. So the way that we ended up doing it is we ended up terracing it, kinda. We didn't really modify the way that the layout is, or at least the grade, but we kind of go downhill all the way down to the woods. So we did a row, then we got some landscaping fabric, a row, landscaping fabric, row, landscaping fabric, and another row. And this allowed for really good drainage, and the landscaping fabric allowed for us to be able to move in between the different rows very easily. Now, what was really nice about the wide rows is it kind of acted as a two-edged sword. So on one hand, we were killing grass in between the rows. So we had a plastic right here, and originally it was right where the plants are at. So once we got this sod killed off, we move it down to the next one, and that allows us to have a wide walkway while preparing ground for next year. Over here in the corner, you can kind of see it. It's really full of weeds. Let's go over there. Now, it's kind of hard to tell from this because there's a gate there and there's a bunch of weeds, but normally I have that mowed out, and I am able to back my truck up through here to be able to get to all the different sections of the garden. So that allowed me to drive into the garden with my truck and dump manure down, which really was helpful. All right, so on this first row, we have ox heart tomatoes. These are something that we got from my father-in-law's friend, and they actually did really well, all considering. The reason they're called ox hearts is because they look like an ox's heart. They're an extremely meaty tomato. There's not a lot of gunk and goo on the inside. You cut into it and it's pretty much just solid meat all the way through. Now, when we first did this, I was really nervous that we had killed all these plants because we had an extremely wet spring here in Ohio, and everything just got flooded out, and I swore that we were gonna just kill all the plants because they were piddly little sticks sticking out of the ground. And then they eventually grew to be a very, very hardy fruit. Really impressed with these. We've never done these before, but we will definitely do these next year, especially for canning, just because the yield compared to like a Roma tomato, I mean, you just get a lot more juice for the squeeze. You can blanch them and then bam, you've got a giant chunk of tomato versus having to do, you know, 3 to 4 to 5 of the same for Roma tomatoes to get the same amount of quantity for making sauce. So I'd highly recommend doing these Oxheart tomatoes. Now the next thing we got going on here is Roma tomatoes. These are very, very tasty for sauce, and we've made a lot of sauce in the past with these tomatoes. The only thing I wish we would have done with these is we didn't do any kind of trellising. They seem to be doing just fine. Life got crazy and then a giant storm went through and everything went and they still continue to grow, but they just don't look very pretty. So next year we're going to do some kind of trellising, string, I don't know. I believe these are determinate tomatoes, so they don't really vine out. They just bush and they stay where they're at, versus the Oxhearts, which I believe are indeterminate, and they will vine out and just keep growing. These kind of just stay where they're at. We will definitely be doing more of these next year. We'll probably do a whole 2 rows of them and trellis them better because they have a really good yield. They're easy to take care of, and they make really good fruit for pasta sauces, pizza sauces, and stuff of that nature. And going down through the row, we've just got some basic stuff. So we've got 3 jalapeno pepper plants because I'd like to try to make some sriracha sauce. And those are doing really, really well. I have a feeling, which all these garden people are going to be like, oh yeah, duh. I think just because these are spicy plants, the bugs do not like to eat this stuff. They don't mess with the fruit. They don't mess with the leaves. These are really dark and leafy, and they barely have any bug spots on them. And they're, like I said, they're producing really, really well. It took a little bit for them to take off, but they're now doing really well. Down there, we have some green bell peppers, and on the other side, we've got some yummy orange peppers that didn't do like diddly squat. I have no idea why. I don't know if they didn't germinate well, but they just didn't do anything. All right, so these are my yummy orange plants, and they're supposed to put off really plump, luscious orange fruit. And so far, they've only done these tiny little things, and they just finally put these on. We've had these in here for like 2 months now, and they just now started putting on fruit versus some of the other stuff that has been putting on fruit for at least a month now. I'm excited to see how these are like. Like I said, they're called Yummy or Orange Delicious. Yummy Orange. There you go. So I'm excited to see what these are like. Now this beast of a plant, there's actually 3 plants here. These are melons. They are silver Yamato, a Japanese variety of watermelon. So they produce fruit. You cut them open and the flesh is white. And we tried one and it wasn't all that ripe, but it was actually really sweet. And we've got a random possible Clay County melon growing with all these. I have no idea why. So the interesting story behind these is I have a buddy that does a local organic produce farm, and he wanted to get some fruit growing for some seed, but he didn't want anything cross-pollinating with any of the stuff that he's got going on. So he contacted me and one of my other buddies that lives over the hill and said, hey, can you grow some of these melons and then toss me a few of the fruits for seed so that way they're not cross-contaminated? I'm like, sure. And they literally took up 20 feet of garden. So if you're going to plant watermelon, make sure that you've got plenty of room, because these things are growing into the corn, they're growing into the peppers, they're growing into the beans. These things just grow into everything. And I have no idea how big they're supposed to get and when they're supposed to stop growing, but these are doing really, really well as long as we can keep the rabbits out of them, because they've been nibbling on some of the ones down closer to the corn. So as you can see, they put on pretty decent sized fruit. There's one there, one there, one over there, one down there that's been chewed on. This is our random big boy, and 2 down there, another small one down there. Now this mess, that's not all that impressive. I think these are vining half runners. Now these didn't really do the best, as you can tell. So I think what happened with these is just too much water when we first planted them. Like I said, we got all this stuff in the ground, and then it was a swamp. And they've been doing okay. I don't know how like bushy they're supposed to get compared to the beans that we got over there on the back fence row, but they just didn't do too well. It took them forever to reach the trellis, which we have about 2 feet off the ground, trying to keep all the foliage up here, and it never did leaf out like I've seen bean plants do. Maybe we'll do these next year, maybe we won't. I'll just have to see how it goes, and it's really just weather dependent. The weather really determines how your crop is going to do for the rest of the year. If you have a crappy spring where it's super wet, super muggy, chances are it's going to affect things down the road. So maybe we'll do this next year, maybe we won't. So these are my zucchini and squash plants. Now these have actually done really, really well. I was talking to my buddy over the hill there again, who works on the farm, and he said that a lot of Amish, Mennonites, and other farmers are having a hard time keeping mold and fungus and all kinds of gnarly stuff off of their plants. Now, these plants put off really big fruit. That's why their leaves are so big. So that way they can get a lot of energy to the plant. And these things are massive. Like I said, one of these things will get at least 4 foot wide, 3 foot tall in the peak of their growth. They put off a lot of fruit, and these things take off fast. So if you don't get after these, you're going to have fruit the size of a 2-liter pop bottle. They're really tasty. We've been taking these and chopping them up and freezing them for long-term storage. You can do canning, but we find out that freezing is a little bit easier for certain things. Eventually we're going to get more into canning, but this just ran out of time this year. So we've got a zucchini, squash, and I think another zucchini plant all right here. They're starting to get towards the end of their life cycle. They're starting to droop. They're not putting nearly off as much fruit, but these are really easy to grow as long as a lot of mold and stuff does not affect them too bad. You can pretty much grow this stuff on concrete, and they'll just go and they'll go and they'll go, and then when they're done, all this will turn brown, wilt, rip it out of the ground, and you plant again next year. And along the fence row here, we've got I think more half runners. And then right there, we've got some zucchini. Something that I learned about weed eating is be careful and make sure you know what's plant and what's weed, because I blasted one of those down there with a weed eater and I killed it. So, but we got some zucchini, some more beans, and then over here is our corn. So here is my sweet corn patch. We're getting pretty close to it being ready. The silks have not all turned brown yet. They're about halfway through, and I'm really excited to see how this turns out. We planted this directly into soily horse manure, so we didn't have to worry about too much nitrogen supplementation. That's why this looks so dark and leafy. If it started looking a bit peaked, more yellow, we would have had to add some kind of nitrogen, but I think with us putting this in fresh manure, it did really, really well without burning the plant. The only thing I got to make sure is that the raccoons don't get into this, because apparently one of my Mennonite buddies said that raccoons will always get your sweet corn the day before you, so hopefully I don't have to, go at them with one of these. I had to say how this goes. Probably what we're going to do with a lot of this is cut it off the ear and freeze it, and then mix it in with stews and stuff. Obviously we're gonna have some fresh grilled corn on the cob, and then when fall comes and this all dries out, I'll make some bougie white girl decorations with it and put these things everywhere. All right, so the last thing we got here is the herb boat, which I really need to water. This stuff's looking a little bit dry. We did herbs next door, and they're extremely hardy, especially the different varieties of thyme. Now we had some oregano that bolted on us and I didn't get to it, so it's just mainly gone to flower. We got some sage there that obviously does not like to not have water, but the thyme's doing really good. We've got some strawberry plants right here that they're kind of coming to the end of their life, and over there is the grow bags that we had potatoes in. So we got about 12 pounds potatoes per bag on those, and I was actually extremely happy because if you guys have been following the channel, we had not really potato bugs, we had flea beetles tearing up the foliage that came off of these things, and I thought that they were all going to be destroyed, but they actually turned out to be really well. So like I said, we got a little herb garden here. I really need to water this thing because it's starting to look dry, but it's been really nice having fresh herbs, and eventually I'd like to be able to take these and dry them for long-term use and be all hobbitish and have herbs hanging from the ceiling and stuff. But there is nothing better than fresh herbs, especially oregano. It makes the flavor on a lot of dishes so much more intense. Alrighty, so that is a full tour of our first year Ohio homestead garden. Now, eventually I want to expand and have more things in here, make this a lot denser, because everything right now is really spaced out, but a lot of this was just experimentation. We've had things do really well, like the tomatoes and stuff, and we had things that didn't do really well. Like right here, I'm standing on top of a raised bed that we planted carrots in, and they didn't do anything. Along the back fence row, I put black-eyed peas that didn't do anything. And then there's things that we thought were going to die instantly, like the melons and some of these tomatoes, and they've done very, very well. So it's just being patient when it comes to gardening, because you'd be surprised how really poor conditions can turn out to be very, very good for plants. And it's just being smart and being diligent. Now, when it comes to gardening, one of the biggest tips I would give you is get out here every single day and check on things. You would be amazed how fast different plants, different weeds, things sprout out. You need to make sure that you stay on top of your watering. Make sure you stay on top of your vegetable produce collection. You don't want things to get super massive, to get rotten, to get eaten on, and just stay on top of it, because if you do a little bit every day, it stops you from having a garden that's swamped by weeds, which happens a lot because people will let their garden go for a week, and then they have really crappy weather for a weekend, and they wait another week, and next thing you know, it's a jungle out here full of all the plants that you do not want. So thank you all for joining me here on the Farmstead way, and I hope you all enjoy a tour of the garden. If you've got any questions and stuff, I'll try to help you the best as possible, because like I said, I am still rather new to this, but the more you do things, the more experience you get and the more confidence you have. So, this is Larry Ben with the Farmstead way. You all take it easy.